guys, it's Lily the Vegan Organizer, and I'm back with another Hobonichi video. So last week I showed you my unboxing of this Spring Cousin 2015 techo, and now I've got it set up, so I just wanted to do a quick video to show you what it looks like. I'll do an update in a couple of months when I've got more stuff in it, but I've already put a fair bit into it and I'm excited to show the setup. So first of all, I love this cover. I was worried that it would be kind of like a big furry glove, but it's actually not. It has a very nice feel to it. It's nice and sturdy, and it's not too thick. So as you can see, I've got two pens in the pen loops. So I mentioned that I don't really care about having it closed. I don't have a problem with it kind of falling open or anything, because it's always in my bag when I'm not using it. And I really like having a highlighter. This is a friction highlighter, and then this is a normal friction pen. And I'll show you how I use the highlighter in a minute. So on the inside pockets I've got a ruler, which I know you don't really need that much for Hobonichi because it's got the gridded paper, but sometimes I like to do something like draw a line down the page like this one, and they're kind of crooked, so this was the result of me not having a ruler, and I decided that it would be nice to have one just in case so that I can get a straight line. So I have things like stamps, my avatar, the Orcish librarian, because I'm in the library a lot, and this is just some expense receipts that I have to file, and then I've got something that I've got to bring to the bank next time I go. So it's really convenient having all of this stuff that you can just keep accessible. So I really like these pockets, they work really well. Then if we go into the planner, the yearly spread, I'm just using at the moment to cross off weeks that have gone by, so like tonight I'll cross this off as well. So far I haven't done anything else with it, but I think I might use it to circle important dates like the end of term at university, or dates that I'm away at a conference or something like that, just so that I can see at a glance. Then the monthly vertical spreads I haven't been able to start using yet because they don't start until April, when this diary actually officially begins. So my original plan when I ordered this was to be, like a very respectable, civilized person and wait until April and start using it then, but it was just so fabulous that I couldn't stand the wait. And so I started using it early, and I'll explain how I've done that. So essentially I'm just waiting until I get closer to the time, and then I'll start filling these in. With my old diary, the Moleskine Vertical, that had a similar kind of spread, and I used it for tracking like big projects. So if there's like a book that I'm working on, or a chapter or an article or something that I'd like to be able to see like kind of how much time roughly have I got for this, then I'll just put it in here along with other things like days when I'm in university and I know that I won't be able to get anything done on the project then, or again like when I'm away, just so that I can see at a glance. So I think I'll be using it in the same way, and it's very nice that it's got this space for notes at the bottom, because I think that this is where I'll put in things like, so what the project is, like say there's a chapter that I'm expecting to be working on over April and May, I'll just put it down here so I can see instantly at a glance like this is what I should be focusing on. So I really like having this, so that definitely will be filled in. Then what happened next is, okay, so this is where the monthly spread starts, the month on 2 pages. And this starts in February, even though the planner doesn't actually start until April. So this is what gave me the idea to start using it early is, well, first of all, I noticed that the daily pages start at the beginning of March. So I thought, okay, I can start using it at the beginning of March. Now I only have to wait a week. But then I couldn't stand the thought of not being able to use it for a whole week. And I noticed that the month on 2 pages starts in February. So I thought, this is the last week of February, so really I could just use this as a vertical weekly spread for that last week, and then I could start using it straight away. So that's what I did. So this is not how the month is supposed to be used, but this is just what I did for the 1 week, the last week of February. So if you imagine that each of these is a day. I didn't think of this until like a couple of days in. So at first I just thought stupidly, this is the last week of February, I'll just have to put all of my appointments in these little boxes. And then I realized like all of this space is going to waste. So after Monday I started putting in some stuff kind of all the way down, and by Thursday you can see it's already like quite full, because this would be a normal day. So over here I put in things that I had to accomplish sometime during the week, but that didn't have to be done on a particular day. And this was great because I've never had this before with my previous planners. There was never a space just for notes for the week. So I always had to keep transferring things over. If I didn't get it done one day, I would have to copy it over onto the next day, and that could go on for a few days. So it was really convenient just having this list here that I could always check and then cross things off as I did them. I've still got a couple of things that I didn't manage to do this week, and I'll have to bump them over to the next week. But I really like having that there, and there's lots of space for more notes. So here I've just got things like appointments, classes that I'm teaching, stuff that I had to remember to do, and this is how I use the highlighter. So if there's something that I have to do on a day that I'm worried that I might forget, particularly if it's something that I have to bring in to university, often I might just, kind of like glance at this and see, stuff that I have to do later in the day, and then forget that I have to bring something with me when I leave. So if I highlight it, then it's just really hard to miss. So that works really well. And the highlighter, being friction, is erasable just like the pen, so if something sort of ends up being in the wrong place, I can move it easily. So I had, like, this was yesterday, I just had things like, I was working at home, so this was just like coursework I had to mark, and some corrections I had to make, and exams that I had to check. So that's this week. And that worked really well. I mean, unsurprisingly, I guess, because it's really the same layout as the weekly. So if any of you ever get a Hobonichi that you want to start using early, just use the monthly pages, and then you don't have to wait. But from, I guess, tomorrow onwards, I'll be able to use this like a normal monthly spread. So I've just put in all of my like kind of fixed appointments for March. So these are classes that I'm teaching, rehearsals for a play that we're doing. I have a Russian class every Wednesday, things like that. So like kind of stuff that's fixed, I've just put in so I can see straight away what I'm doing over the month. And then here I've put in projects that I want to work on this month, so I can keep in mind, kind of like with the vertical monthly spread, just things like, like I kind of want to focus on whenever I have time, because on the days when I'm teaching I can't really get any research done, but on days when I'm at home, I just want to keep in mind that this is what I should be focusing on. So I filled this in, I filled in March pretty completely. April there's less going on because term ends at the end of March, so that means I'm not teaching. So there are things like I'm going to visit my mum in the middle of April, so I've got that labelled. And then a book I have to read for a review, and then again I'll just put in like kind of my major monthly goals that I want to, things that I want to achieve, get done in April. May, I haven't put things in there. There will be some set things because they're like exams and stuff like that, so I will be adding to this, but there's nothing that I could do without checking the weekly pages, so I haven't done it yet. The same for June. July I put some things in because there are a couple of summer courses and a conference that I sort of knew off the top of my head, so I just added them in. And then if we go, the monthly pages actually go all the way till May 2016, so that's nice because you can do some forward planning. And then if we get to the weekly pages don't start until the very end of March. So I can't use these yet, which is kind of frustrating because I love the weekly layout. I think it's really convenient, first of all, how you have this blank space again, and I'm going to use this, like I showed you with the monthly pages, I'm going to use this for things that I want to get done just sometime during the week, but that don't have to be done on a specific day. And I think I'm also going to keep a shopping list here, because I have got, or will have, I'll talk about this in another video, a home planner. Which started off as a Hobonichi and then transferred to a Moleskine, and then I think now is going to be an A6 Hobonichi, but I'll tell you about that separately, because that is a whole other planning adventure. But that one doesn't leave home, and this one I take with me everywhere, so it's quite nice to be able to write things down when I'm out if I think of something that I need, rather than waiting until I get home and then forgetting. And I think that there's enough space here to put in both like things that I have to do and also like shopping list. So that's one thing that I like about it. Another thing that I like, well, I like this calendar. So I've never had this before, so you can see straight away which week you're on in the month, so that's just kind of convenient. And then I like how it goes from 6 a.m. until midnight. I've never had a planner that went that far. Like the other ones that I've had always have just gone from like 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. And you can't see it here, but I sometimes have things like, for example, the Russian class that goes until 8:30. And so it's nice just not to have to, you know, put it in the blank space. It's nice to actually have a designated time for that. And then occasionally there are things that are later. And so I just really like having a designated slot for the later times. I don't usually do things at like 6 or 7 a.m., but it's still nice having it there. So this is an all-day symposium that's blocked off. And I also like that because of the grid layout, you can like kind of mark things off exactly, so you can see, you know, like when it starts and then when it finishes, and mark it like that. And then again, this is just something that I have to get done sometime on this day. So I really like being able to see throughout the week what you have to do. So like, for example, I'm doing an online Welsh course, and one of the assignments is due on this Friday. So if I put in that I'll do it on the Tuesday, then that kind of like covers me. I can see that I've got enough time, like kind of to get it done in, you know, a couple of extra days before I have to submit it. And this is Passover starts here, so I've got that in. That's the end of Passover. I haven't got a whole bunch in here again because there's not that much going on that you know kind of has set times, because the whole of April there's no teaching, so I'll just be working from home and at my mum's. So play. There's like a couple of appointments that I've already got in here, but there isn't a huge amount in here yet. But I am imagining that this will sort of end up looking like this because this is a sort of a typical week. So I'll show this again to you when it's got more stuff in it. Then if we go on to the end of the weekly spread, which is the beginning of March 2016. So this is where the daily pages start. So they actually start at the beginning of March, the 1st of March, but for the first month, it's 2 days per page. So, like I said, the actual proper planner doesn't start until the 1st of April with 1 day per page. So, I don't actually intend to use the daily pages for planning. So, like I mentioned, this is what gave me the initial thought that I could start using this early, is I thought I could start using it at the beginning of March, because this is almost like a weekly spread. It's not as good as a weekly spread, but I'll use these for my just kind of like day-to-day weekly planning for the first month, and then switch over into the weekly view when that starts at the beginning of April. So this is what I've done. I've labelled the dates here, the days in English, just until I get used to the Japanese. So I think I've kind of learned the Japanese days of the week now, but at the beginning I just wanted to make it a bit easier. So starts tomorrow. I've got things I have to do for the day, so I have to plan a lesson, and these are just my notes, and then I have to go to the bookshop and get a book and a card, and check some exams and coursework, and then I've just added in expenses for the week. Sorry, things I have to do for the week. Expenses is the only thing I've got at the moment, but I'll sort of use this the same way that I was using the monthly spread that I showed you as a weekly. So I'm using all kinds of different formats that are not supposed to be used the way I'm using them, but just that's the price that you pay for wanting to start early. And then I've just got some other stuff that I have to do, and my appointments for the week. So this is my Welsh lesson. This is some stuff that I have to do for the day, but again, like not at a specific time of the day. And then rehearsals for the play, another a lesson, more rehearsals, and my Russian class. And then these are some things that I have to do on that day. So I've got this kind of set up more or less until the end of the month. I have to add some things in. So like here there are some lessons that I'm teaching that I have to put in. Not a huge amount, but I think it will get quite full, and again it will end up looking like this, you know, kind of as the weeks go on. This is the end of the term, and we're going to Veg Fest in Brighton on the Sunday the 29th, so that's exciting. A kind of end of term celebration. So this is where the kind of proper day per page pages start. And what I'm going to use these for is notes. So anytime I have something that I'm working on that I just, you know, like kind of want to think about, or if I'm taking notes at a meeting, or if colleagues and I are working on something together and I want to jot stuff down, that's what all of these daily pages are going to be for. So they're not actually going to be related to the particular day necessarily. So I've just started using them already here. So this is end of March, because this is where I don't need this as a weekly planner anymore. So like, for example, this was something that I'm co-teaching a course, and my colleagues and I met to discuss an exercise that we were going to do, and this is just the notes for what the exercise was going to look like. So there's more blank space down here. Because I've got loads of space, I've never had this much space for notes before, I don't think I'm going to need all of this, so I can, you know, kind of, I don't have to economize really. I can, like, you know, write on every other line and spread out and stuff like that. But I have the feeling that, as with many things, you kind of get used to what you have and start using it. So I think that I might end up writing down more things that I maybe wouldn't have written down before because I was worried about not having enough room. And now room doesn't matter, so I'll just write down everything, which is good because then it means that I don't have to remember as much. So I erased this, thank you Friction Pen, because originally I'd started writing down some things here that are like kind of more long-term list things that I wanted to remember and be able to go back to throughout the year. And then I realized that it would be hard to find them because I then started using this for notes. So I thought if the notes are kind of messy and they're just, you know, sort of like random things, not necessarily list of things that I want to be able to check over and over again, it will be hard to find the list interspersed throughout. So I erased these 2 pages and I put the notes somewhere else, which I'll show you in a minute, and so that's why this is blank, but I'm going to fill this with notes. And these were the notes that I'd originally started taking, so just reminding myself of some things that I have to say and some exams that I have to check. And that's all I've got so far because I've only been using these, like I said, for a week, but the rest of this is sort of going to be filled as much as is necessary with notes. And then the things that I erased, I moved here to the last month because it occurred to me that if I've got all of this room, I can really afford to take at least the last month and use it for like more long-term records. So like, for example, this is one of my courses. These are marks for the other course that I'm teaching, and then this is I'm admissions tutor for my department, so this is offers that have been accepted so far, students coming to do the degree. And so these are things that I'll need to come back and look at throughout the year, and it's just really nice to know where they are. And so all of these lists are in one place. So this is a book that I'm co-editing, and these are like chapters that are done and ones that we're waiting for. So this is, the rest of this is blank so far, but this is like 30 pages worth of lists like this that I can make. So I think it will be really convenient having this because, again, I've never had a dedicated place to put things like this. So in my previous planners, I've always just put them in, you know, like random blank pages, or like, you know, kind of on the front and back covers because those were blank. And so it would be really nice just to have them all in one place and to be able to go and check them. And because the Hobonichi only has 2 bookmarks, I'm using one of the bookmarks at the moment for the start of the daily pages, where the notes will start, and then the other one right now it's at the beginning of the daily pages because that's what I'm going to be using for the weekly spread. But when the actual weekly spread starts, then I'll move it and I'll put it here, which means that there's no bookmark for the monthly spread and for this kind of long-term record keeping sort of list. So I think that what I'll do is, in my unboxing video I showed you some bookmarks that I ordered from Etsy, and they actually turned out to be a bit too short. So like they kind of start here and they finish right here, which means that when you've got them spread out, I tried using them and they're just not quite long enough, and sometimes they fall out. So I've ordered some like kind of little metal page pointers that, you know, just I kind of slot in and like kind of mark the page from the side. So I'm going to try using those, and I'll give you an update. Hopefully that will work. And if it turns out that I need more space for these like kind of long-term notes, which I don't think I will, because 30 pages is quite a lot, but if I do, I can just expand backwards into February, because like I said, I don't think that I'll really need all of the spaces for notes, although I'd like to fill it, so I think I'm just going to end up writing more, but it's still not like I'll be pressed for space. And I haven't written anything back here, because I've got a separate book that I use for permanent things that I want to be able to keep from year to year, so that I can just transfer them from one planner to the next. And that's this. So this is a Moleskine Volant, and it's the smallest size. I mean, you can see how small it is if you compare it to the A5 techo. And I just put in things like, you know, passwords and like bank details and stuff like that, so that I can easily find them, like birthdays, so that I can just write them in the diary every year. Not that I keep that track of that many people's birthdays, I'm not very good at that, but just like, you know, a few that I want to remember. And so that goes in here. Originally I'd put it here, which also worked. I mean, it's nice having it here, but because I'm writing a lot near the beginning of the book, it was really lumpy. So I took it out because there's not a huge amount that I have to write near the end of the book. It's only the, you know, these kind of permanent notes, and because I don't have to write that often here, somehow it's not as much of a problem. Then here I wanted to have some detachable note paper, so that in case I have to write a note to somebody, or, you know, like write something down for somebody and give it to them, I could, because the Hobonichi doesn't have any perforated paper. So I took the remaining blank pages of another Moleskine Volant that I was using for notes on my previous diary setup, the Moleskine setup in the Flex, and I just tore out all of the remaining blank pages and put them in here, so I can use this for now. And then when this runs out, I'm not sure what I'll do after that. I was thinking of getting one of the Hobonichi notebooks that are designed to fit into the back pocket here, but the A5 size doesn't have perforated paper, which kind of defeats the object. So either I'll get an A6 one, which would be fine, because I don't have to write, you know, giant notes to people, or else I'll think of something else. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that yet. So there's nothing in the back pocket, and that's pretty much where it stands for now. So as I said, I'll do an update video when I've been using this for a couple of months and I've got some more stuff to show you. And in the meantime, I will make a video about my other Hobonichi and what I'm using that for, which is completely different. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you soon. Bye!